You're listening to Stories Behind the Songs with Chris Blair. For more information, check out chrisblair.com. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Stories Behind the Songs. I'm your host, Chris Blair, and I want to thank you guys so much for listening. This is episode 15. Still brand new, but 15 episodes. I started this 15 weeks ago, putting out a new podcast episode every single week, sitting down with my friends in the music industry to share their stories behind the songs, behind the scenes, with everything that's going on. And I can't wait for you to hear this week's episode with my longtime friend, AJ Kross. We're going to talk about how he got his start playing with his parents' gospel group in Oregon, and how that, along with influences like Dierks, Bentley, and Shelton, got him to move to Nashville. How when he moved to Nashville, he wrote 2 songs a day, every day, for 2 years. Think about that. 2 songs a day, every day, for 2 years straight. And he did it with different songwriters every time. It's such an incredible story. We're also going to tell the stories behind songs like You, Hearts, things that you've heard that he's put out already, and also some songs that he has yet to release but is working on, along with what else he's been working on over the last couple years behind the scenes and what is to come very soon. I can't wait for you to hear this. Here is my friend, great artist, great songwriter, incredible guy, AJ Kross. Let's get to it. Hey everybody, this is Chris Blair with another episode of Stories Behind the Songs, and I'm here today with AJ Kross. AJ, so good to have you, man.
Good to be here, Chris.
Let's go back to the beginning. I kind of start like this with every podcast,
Sure.
and just kind of walk us through how you got into music in the first place. So take us back to childhood, man.
Shoot. Man, my mom always says basically that I was singing before I could talk, and it really is. I don't know. I guess it's always just been in my blood. It's kind of just always been something that I've done. I've had a lot of other passions over my lifetime, but none of them have ever been real like the music passion. But yeah, I guess I was playing with my little cars when I was like 1 year old or whatever, before I could talk, and I was just humming melodies. I don't know, but and my parents were in a gospel duo as I was a kid, and until I think I was probably about 8 years old when that fizzled out. They decided to buy a house and all that kind of stuff. But I grew up in a minivan touring the West Coast, Washington, Oregon, California, and just sitting in the front pew at churches and little tiny venues, basically. And my parents were on stage as their gospel duo, and it's just always been there for me.
Yeah,
it's always been a thing that's just been a part of my life and my family's life.
So did you start more singing or more on the instrument side?
I started singing, I guess. When I was 3 years old, I was the lead vocalist on a national children's album that my mom produced, and I don't, I'm just always sang, I guess.
Yeah.
When I was 8 years old, my parents always saw music as a gift for me, or maybe they forced it upon me because they were also musicians. I don't know about that one, but it worked, I guess. But I was 8 years old, and my dad started making me play bass guitar for an hour every single day. And I remember hating it because I wanted to be out chasing chickens or whatever,
Yeah.
And I would have to play bass guitar every single day. But looking back, I appreciate it now. And I think 8 years old, bass guitar. I think I was 11 years old. I saved up money and bought my own drum set. I think it was a Tom. I can't remember what kind of drum set it was, actually. But we had that thing in the house, and that was probably fun, I'm sure. And then 13 years old, my birthday, I got this. It was a magazine, and I opened it up, and it was a wrapped up guitar magazine, and I was like, oh, cool. And I like opened it up, and My parents told me to look through, and I looked through it, and there was a piece of paper inside of it, and it was a picture of a really nice guitar. It was a Paul Reed Smith McCarty series guitar.
Hmm.
I was like, "What's this?" And they're like, "That's your guitar." I don't remember if we had to go
How old
pick
were
it.
you?
I was I was 13.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Um, this is like a 2,000 something dollar guitar. Like, the
Yeah.
thing's really nice.
Yeah.
They should have bought me a Squire, for nothing against Squires. There's some great Squires out there, but this thing was nice for a first guitar especially, but yeah, and so I just started playing guitar at that point too. So I kind of played not everything, but a lot of things growing
Yeah.
up.
That's great. So you're multi-instrument. Side note, I just pulled out my old drum set that I had in a storage unit for a long time with a buddy. And I just pulled that out a couple months ago and put it all back together. Got new cymbals and all that for Jackson, my son, my 5-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going through that right now, and
Oh,
yeah,
fun.
it's a parent's dream, man. Yeah, give your kids a drum set when they're young.
Give your kids an electric drum set.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, so you're learning to play all these instruments. You grow up in a van, touring all of this with your parents. When was the trigger for you? Do you remember, like, like, at that age, I'm sure it's a lot of it is just like, hey, this is just what we do, right? Like, it's just you kind of like if you grew up in that, it's just like, it's just normal.
Yeah.
When was that trigger of like, man, this is like this is like something in my blood. It's like I've got to do this.
So walking through like the timeline of it, when I was 8, I had a friend who his name's Jacob. I haven't talked to him for a long time, but he was probably still is just a prodigy guitar player. At the time, he was probably 8 years old also, and he's playing crazy flamenco guitar, just all over the neck, like mind-blowing stuff. And I was in a band with him and a couple other friends, and I played bass and I sang, and we were trying to play like punk rock Christian music with a flamenco guitar player, and it was just a mess. But that was, I think, that was 8 years old. We played our first show. Our band was called The Spares.
Tell me about that.
The Spares.
How'd you come up with that?
Because we were spared. We were spared by Christ.
I love it, dude. I love it.
Yeah, and also Britney Spears. But we had a back deck, and we played a show for our family on the back deck, and it was our first concert.
8 years old, you
Yeah.
got a band. I love it, dude.
Yeah, it was great. So that happened, and honestly, that triggered something. I don't know exactly what it was, whether it was something for the stage. Mom and dad are out there cheering us on, and that was a big deal. It was just music. It just triggered music for me, like that, I guess, that band and that feeling. And I did a lot of experimenting after that. I got into rap. I got into real hardcore metal. I was in a bunch of metal bands for a little while.
You had really long hair, didn't you?
Well, I had
Like slicked back.
the
like-
front was
yeah.
like this, and the back was spiked up, and I had a big bleach spot right there.
Bro, there's got to be some pictures out there somewhere.
I've got
where you-
there's some pictures. I've got some recordings from the band, and we were actually not bad for kids.
Yeah.
But I was in, I think, four different metal bands. One of them being named Blood, Blood, and Blood. Blood, Blood, and More Blood. Just stuff,
Yeah.
We played one show with that band. There's a couple other bands that we were really consistent and playing all around the kind of the West Coast area.
Yeah.
As kids, it's too much. It was a lot for my parents to try to keep up with and stuff, but my mom was great about it. And with that kind of, there's a lot of like kind of rebellious mindsets in that younger scene, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom was very good about that and saying, if you want to have band practice, like have it at our house and I'll make cookies and all that kind of stuff. And so they put up with a lot through all of that. But I made some great friends, met some really talented people who are still doing music today, and in the metal world are crushing it,
Yeah.
which is really cool. From a small town in Oregon, it's just funny to see that style of music actually really did have an impact for uh uh there was a lot of people doing that kind of music,
Yeah.
you know?
So you're doing all this, you're dabbling in a lot of different bands, and
Mhm.
you're having a lot of fun. I wanna jump forward a little bit because I've known you for over 10 years.
Yeah.
Most everybody that's probably listening to this doesn't yet know who AJ Kross is.
Sure.
And that's why I wanted to sit down with you, because you've got such an incredible story, and I know the things that you've got on the horizon. Um, and I just can't wait to see all that blow up. So kind of walk me through, like, I want to get you to Nashville and then kind of talk about songwriting and the stories behind the songs, and
Okay.
the gist of what all this is about, right? But I've heard you talk about you would like have these heavy metal punk bands and just like banging your head against the wall, like, just
Right.
and then you get in your truck and you drive home, and what would you listen
With
to?
country music on.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell him that I just love country music. It's just small town in Oregon. I'm from a family of a bunch of cowboys and woodsmen, basically. So, like, I mean, in my blood is survivalist. It's like going out into the woods for
Bear Grylls.
pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just survival stuff. Things living off the land is like it's just part of my family's lineage, basically, stuff like that. So, I would get into the car and listen to country music on the way home, and I just always loved country music. Um, and the moment it clicked, though, I was 15 years old, and there's a couple things. We were playing before this. What kind of set it up? We were playing with a show with a pretty big metal band. I'll say pretty big. I won't name any names. Um, and big stage, big festival, all this kind of stuff. And I noticed that they were still traveling in 15 passenger vans. I was like, no, that's not for me. That's not the future I want is, just roughing it in
Yeah.
these vans. Um, and so it got me thinking, but then I was watching CMT videos one day when I was 15, and Dierks Bentley video came on. Um, the song Got a Guitar, got a guitar on my back. You know that song.
Yep.
Um, I don't know. It just fed
It just did it for you?
It fed my soul, and
Yeah.
I said that I want to do exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
So I really dug into it. I wrote my first country song at that time. Mom and I wrote my first country song together. The song was called Lone Rider. We recorded it with a friend named Matt, and I helped build a studio back home. My dad and I did, and it in turn for recording time.
Mm.
Um, so I learned how to build studios.
Yeah. Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So Dirks kind of gets that shift, and you're like, okay, country music is what I've got to do. So
Yep.
when did you decide, hey, I got to get out of Oregon and get to Nashville?
That's when I decided I wanted to get to Nashville. I was
When you
15
started,
years old.
okay,
I'm all in. I'm
yeah.
all in country music. I love country music. I always have, always will.
So
Still
you
do.
graduated high school,
Graduated high
you
school.
skip college, and you get the School of Hard Knocks in the country music college.
I went
And
to I went to work at a restaurant back home.
yep.
Uh, I worked there for quite a while, and then when I was 21 years old, I had saved up enough money, and I said, "Okay, it's go time. Get in my truck, drive to Nashville." Broke down 3 times. Alternator
This is the
issues.
white Chevy, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I still got it.
Yep.
It's my baby. I'm trying to fix it right now.
Yep. Over and over and over again.
I know.
That thing's it's a classic though, man.
I
So,
love it.
yeah.
OBS Chevys is one of my passions too.
Doesn't Dirks have a truck just like that?
Dierks and I literally have the exact same truck.
Yeah.
That's why I've done a few mods to mine to change it a tiny bit, because it was so exactly the same that I was like, this is just awkward. Like I feel like
People like wave at you thinking you're Dierks.
Dierks and I we'd pull up at like a stoplight a couple times next to each other, windows go down. Nice truck. Nice truck. Thanks, bro. Like, how many miles you got? Oh, blah, blah. You know, we like yell back and forth for a minute. Light turns green and go separate ways.
That's got to be full circle though, man. You're like pulling up in a truck that obviously you both love, and the guy that shifts your heavy rock to country music and gets you to move to Nashville is like you're like talking at a stoplight.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. That was the first time was kind of weird. The second time was like, it was like, okay, this might keep happening, and that hasn't happened since then. I parked his.
Well, maybe he'll listen to this. We'll tag Dierks Bentley in the liner notes, and
I love it.
hopefully he listens, and maybe you guys can do a duet with your trucks.
Yeah, I parked his car one time too, or his family's car, not the truck.
Yeah,
But I was valet parker, so I don't know Dierks. I just have these little interactions. But the truck was a cool one.
yeah.
I was like,
So you're here in Nashville. You break down 3 times coming here. What do you do?
one of the times. You mean what do I do in Nashville?
Yeah, once you got here, like
Okay.
what I'm getting at is like I think it's incredible, especially for all the songwriters that are listening out there.
Yeah.
Like what dedication and like passion and work ethic it takes. Like this is not an easy industry, right? Like it's so hard, and there's no
Yeah.
crystal ball of like that it's music. I say this all the time, but music is subjective. So you can work so hard, but because of all these execs and all these decision makers in the music industry, you can't get to that next level that easily without full support of the whole team, right?
Yeah.
So you get here and you did what not many people do, and you wrote how many times for how long?
I wrote 2 songs a day for 2 years, every single day, different co-writers every song. So I tried to book 2 writes a day, and I did it. You know, if I couldn't book a co-writer or whatever, I would try to finish the song myself. You know, just and I didn't go to college just because of music. I I knew music was what I was supposed to do. So
Yeah.
my parents were full support. But my dad basically said, "Hey, like, if you're not going to go to college, this is what I need you to do. I need you to get 4 types of jobs: a service industry job, a blue collar construction job. Um, I don't remember the other 2, but I think I did them. Anyways, but he said, and then when you get to Nashville, I need you to put yourself through your own music college. He said, because you're not going to school, you have to do it yourself, basically. So my dad's a very wise man.
Yeah.
Very wise man. He knows me.
Shout out to Ted.
He knows me very well. So yeah, shout out to Ted.
Yeah.
Ted is my dad.
So, I mean, let's sit on that for a little bit. There's the train. We knew it was going to come. We are in a studio. Shout out to my buddy Brandon Metcalf, who is letting us come, and we got into the studio. You're recording today, and we got to get into a studio a little early and knock this out. But there's a train track right behind us, and we're not going to edit it. We're just going to leave it in there because it's nostalgia. It's kind of cool. It's Nashville.
Love the train.
So, yeah, I want to sit on that for songwriters because, like, most songwriters, when they move to Nashville, they're out networking if they're doing what they need to do, right? They're out networking, they're meeting people, they're playing writers rounds, things like that. How many people do you know of that even write 1 song a day every single day? And you wrote 2 songs a day every day, 1 on Sunday for 2 years straight. And most songwriters have kind of this tribe that they build, which I know along the way in the later parts of that, and now you kind of have this little tribe that you write a lot with. But to make that the goal is to sit down with all of these different writers, whether they're like you and new to town, or whether they're a guy like Mark Irwin that's got, hits and is writing with guys like you. That is incredible, dude. Like that is something that most people don't do, and it's just a testament to like your passion and work ethic.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't say I feel like it was right for me. Everybody has a completely different path
Sure,
that
yeah.
they need to follow, and that they will follow, obviously. But for what I did, it, like it's a muscle. Like songwriting it's a creative muscle, if you will, and to stay fresh and on top of yourself is the hard part.
Mm,
It's to not write the same thing over and over,
yeah.
like like water bottle, and then you could write water bottle into 10 songs, but then you're just repeating yourself. Like the next time you want to look at that water bottle and say, okay, what else could that water bottle be? Coffee cup. I don't know, just whatever.
Yeah.
Like little changes that help push you. I'm very logical with the way I think. And so it's kind of harder for me to get creative and break into these like different areas. I love writing with people with ADHD because they go, ooh, like this, you know what I mean? And they start finding all these cool, like different, like little, like just directions you can
Yeah.
go. Basically, I'm like that train out there. I'm just like straight through. So I
Yeah.
love being able to branch off. And that's really, I think, 2 songs a day for 2 years. I think that's what I mainly learned out of that, other than like, song structure and stuff. You learn to build a structure just so you can break it. You learn how to break it. You
Yeah.
learn how to break all the things you would learn in school. You learn how to do it your own way, you know?
Yeah. So good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's some of the stuff that I learned. A lot of I learned a lot of relationship stuff along the way, obviously. The best networking I did was at writer rounds, and I would get these rounds booked at these little tiny venues, basically. And it's my thing was like always new people,
Mm,
write with new people, ask new people to be in the round with you, because then they're forced to listen to 5 of your songs and learn actually who you are a little bit. And you can also decide if you think you'd be a good fit to write because you hear 5 of their songs or
yeah.
4 of their songs, whatever.
Yeah.
So I did that a lot.
I think you're really good at that. I've seen you like you can be watching TV or a movie or something, and it's like there's that line, something hits you, and you're like pulling out your phone and taking a note. It's like, ooh, there's a
Yeah.
hook. Yeah.
Like Dewey Cox, he's like, walk hard.
Yeah. So you
That's my
got
line.
you're knocking out literally hundreds of thousands of songs when you first moved to town. You also wanted to know what life was like on the road. So you took a job out on the road with a big country star.
Yeah, I had quite a few different jobs in Nashville. I was valet. Um, I was a bouncer down at Winners and Losers, which is, for people listening who don't know, it's owned by George Strait's manager. It's kind of like the
The
local
local hang.
the
Yeah.
local hang, which
Was just
is
there last week.
really,
Yeah.
it's a good spot. It's kind of turned into a crazy mess in Midtown there, but um, on the weekends, I should say. But yeah, I did security there for about a year. I was a plumber. Um, I was a plumber for about, shoot, a year also. And the owner of the plumbing company gave me a job because he was a songwriter too. And he's like, hey, you need a job? I got a job for you. So I was like, okay. So I learned how to be a plumber. I was always really good at construction and just things with my hands, basically. And I did that for a year or so, and um, I writing songs after work every day and on the weekends and stuff, and trying to juggle that. It was really busy, but yeah, I was literally down in a big septic tank up to my knees, and I got a phone call, and I had my phone in my pocket. I don't know why I did down in the
Yeah, yeah,
septic tank,
yeah.
but I answered the phone, and it was my buddy Chris. And Chris is also from Oregon. He's a front of house guy. He's a sound guy, and he called me and he's like, "Hey man, it's the artist was Tracy Lawrence he was with, and he's like, hey man, we need a stage manager, and a tech, and I think you'd be really good for the job. So I climb out, and I told my boss, and he's like, well, and I said, oh, I said, that sounds awesome to Chris. I said, that sounds great, man. When do you need me? And he's like, tomorrow. So I climb out. I'm like, hey, boss, I just got this opportunity. And he's like, go. He's like, you didn't move to Nashville to be a plumber. And shout out to JT. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that's great.
That really got the ball rolling on music. And yeah, so I was out there for 3 years or so, and every weekend playing different, all over the country.
Yeah.
On the bus, just an amazing experience, learning about that life. And I really tried to take everything to heart, because like as an artist, I don't want to just sit back and wait for the opening act to finish their set and then walk off the bus and go play my show and then go back to my bus. I don't want to do that. Like I want to be a part of everything.
Yeah.
So mainly that's why I was excited to take that job, because I learned all the behind the scenes. I was the only tech for all the instruments. So usually a band or a singer or whatever has a guitar tech, a drum tech, a keyboard,
Yeah.
utility tech. So I was the whole full stage tech, full stage manager, and I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I learned a lot about working in the Texas heat and all that kind of stuff, and it's great. And also about what it's like to be around a superstar.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that was a great experience in my life.
This episode is brought to you by Brit Skin Beauty. Located in the beautiful Indulgence Medi Spa in Mount Juliet, Tennessee, Brittany is the go-to esthetician for facials, dermaplaning, microdermabrasion, waxing, lashes, and any skincare products and consultations. So many people in the music industry use her frequently, and her work speaks for itself. To schedule your next consultation or make an appointment, visit britskinbeauty.com or send an email to britskinbeauty@gmail.com.
So you get a phone call that pulls you out of literally the crap, literally.
Yeah.
And yeah, so okay, so that's a little bit of a 20-minute background, I guess, or so, of how you got started, got to Nashville writing.
Sure.
Just kind of did all these jobs to learn and all of this kind of thing. And then you kind of shift, you get off of the road, and you start to focus more on you as an artist,
Yeah.
and you're writing more for you. So let's talk about the story behind a song. So
Right.
whatever song you want to do, but let's peel back some layers and let the listeners kind of know a little bit more about what it is that AJ Kross is like in that head of yours when you're creating a song.
Man, when I'm writing a song, like I'm trying to think, there's 100 things you're trying to think at the same time. Like honestly, you're trying to think for yourself, but you're also trying to move forward with everything you do too, and be creative with the lyric, with the melody, with the cadence of things, uh, with the music. If you're playing guitar, piano, whatever, writing it on the guitar, piano, trying to maneuver just a little bit differently.
So what's one of the
But
songs that you feel like really touched you in a way that you like that did that, where it's like you're writing songs still for other people, right? But like a song that you're like, man, this is a mine. Like this is a song that I want to do as an artist. I want to put out to the world.
the man, it's so hard, because there's a lot of songs that are babies of mine.
Yeah.
And I just love them all. The first one that I wrote, I'll just give you a little preview of it here. is the first one that I wrote that really stuck with me in my soul. We wrote the song. It was Jeff Anderson, Derek Hampton, and I at Jeff's studio in Bellevue, and we wrote the song. The song's called "Hearts Don't Really Break."
Yeah, I love this song.
And it's the first song that I've ever played that people said, "Wow." It's the first song that I wrote that I think I said, "Wow." But the funny thing is like we wrote this song, a completely different song. And then after we finished writing the song, we did a work tape of it and everything. Derek goes, "Guys, what if we like changed it?" And we were just like, "What? Like, what?" And the song is called "Hearts Don't Really Break," which is a lie, because hearts do break, you know? And he said, "What if we started saying things like, the sky ain't blue, the grass ain't green," and like the whole song, and then like the riff came out. I don't have my pick. So like the riff happened, and Derek's lyrics just kind of fell into place. I think I came up with that riff, actually. But the lyric is, "The sky ain't blue, the grass ain't green, the moon don't shine, and church bells don't ring, the wind don't blow, and birds don't fly. Yeah, you ain't gone, and I don't cry. The goodbye that you never said ain't running circles in my head. Yeah, maybe I would be alright if the truth was all a lie." You get into the chorus, which is like, "God don't really save, and the ocean doesn't make waves. I don't feel no pain. The world don't really turn, and fire don't really burn, and hearts don't really break." The whole song is a complete backwards lie.
Yeah.
It's the first one that, I don't know, that just really was just like, it's just like, man, that's just like different and cool and
Yeah.
special, and it's pretty, and
Yeah.
and the guy that brought me to town, what happened was Tim Johnson, Clay Mills, James Dean Hicks, they came to Oregon, to my little town, and they put on a little 2-hour long writers round, a little conference kind of thing, if that's the right word for it, at one of my local schools in the auditorium, just explaining Nashville and songwriting. And Tim Johnson, he passed away from cancer, but he was a really influential man in Nashville. He wrote some amazing songs, some amazing like big hits, and my mom contacted him since he was in town and said, "Hey, we need to talk to you, my son." I think I was 18. I think I was 18 at this point. My son wants to do country music and wants to move to Nashville. And so Tim's like, "Yeah, I'll meet with you for, a little bit of time." Like, sure. Because he's already in Nashville. He doesn't need to meet with somebody in Oregon to be like, "Okay, you suck," or whatever.
Yeah.
So we met and we were just going to talk for a little bit. We ended up talking for like, I think it was like 6 hours.
Wow.
And he said verbatim, this is what he said. Okay. He said vocally, he said, "I think you're in the top 2% of people in Nashville," which just, for him to say that really hit it home for me, that like, okay, I have to move to Nashville. So he said, "You have to come to Nashville, come for a couple weeks, experience the city, experience the people, try to learn a few things, and go back home."
Yep.
And then if you can afford it, come out for another couple weeks or whatever. So I came out a couple times, visited, didn't learn much because of Broadway and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, not that I was in the bars drinking and stuff because I was underage, but it was, like I tell the story that I didn't know where to go when I moved to Nashville. I really didn't, because I didn't I didn't learn much when
Yeah.
I came here. It was like I don't know anything. So I came out, and when I finally moved here, it was just such a big life change that it was like just a mess for me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
just where do I go? Who
Yeah.
do I meet? So once I finally got my feet, I should say I started writing 2 songs a day once I finally got my feet under me a little bit and,
Yeah.
learned about where other songwriters are even at. So,
Mm.
I think I missed something there I was trying to get to, but oh yeah, Tim Johnson. He said Nashville doesn't need songwriters. Nashville needs song rewriters.
That's so good.
And when Dierks said, let's write this song a completely different way from how we just wrote it, and we wrote the whole song as a lie, that was the first time that I put those two together. And I was
Yeah.
like, man, Tim's right. Tim's
Yeah.
right. There's so many songs in Nashville that are written and then just pushed to the side because they write a new one the next day. When that song really, it just needed a tiny bit of love,
Yeah.
So I saw that day. That was a cool thing to experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've played that, tons of times at the listening room, and it always gets a huge response, and you sing the crap out of it. I mean, it's just Tim was also right about your vocals. I mean, you've got this incredible range, and just it's just, man, it's just so good.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
So yeah, you you wanna move into a different song? You wanna talk about another song that you're really proud of? And then I wanna get to, like, kind of what's going on and what you've got coming out,
Yeah.
before we wrap it up, so.
Yeah. The other song that I would probably want to play right now is called You. I have it recorded. It's out on Spotify and everything, but it's a really weird tuning. It take me probably 3 minutes to get to it right now.
Yeah.
So I like playing guitar in different tunings. Like, as you can see right here, the capo's backwards.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, and it creates
Yep.
that, so you can. So you
Yep.
can just mess around, and play things different. Like, I've always liked that. So with that song, You, if you go listen to it online or whatever, the guitar's it's really
beautiful.
cool in it.
Yep.
And that's because I turned everything.
Yeah.
So I can't do it right now. But a lot of songs for me start with riffs. I sat down with Michael Whitworth to write our first song together, and he goes like that. I'm like, what was that? That's cool. And then we started doing this. We moved it up there. And we looked at each other and we were like, this is going somewhere. And he goes, hey. And we start going, hey, girl, when you're looking that way, you make me going straight, drop my jaw, slip and fall. You're putting down what I'm tripping on. It's all you, girl, you got it all. And you got me thinking like, oh my, how come a country girl so fly? You're spending all of your time with me, we kicking it. I can't complain cause I'm loving it. It's getting good, good as it gets. I got that mad love for you. I got it bad, yeah, so bad for you. Ain't a damn thing I wouldn't do for you. Act a fool for you, tattoo for you. Everybody else want what we got. They at the bottom while we hitting that tip top. Every time you and I feeling that crazy high, girl, you know I got that mad love for you.
Yeah, man.
Anyways.
Yeah.
some songs just come out of the blue like that.
Yeah.
Every song's so different. Sometimes you have to write a song for 10 years sometimes, and then
Yeah.
some songs just that song we wrote that in like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I play it at every single show cuz it feels right.
Yeah. Such a good show. Such a good song. I
It's
want to
just
talk
fun.
about you a little bit too. I know
Yeah.
it's got all the crazy tuning, but I think it's cool knowing the story behind that, how you wrote that, and it meant something so special to you at the time. But how a song can just completely change when, seasons in life change. So
Yeah.
you wrote that before you met Krista, your
Yeah.
wife,
Yeah.
and you loved the song then, but then you met her and was like, wow, this song was like written
The
for
reason
her.
she's the reason that I personally wrote the song.
Yeah.
I wrote it with Mike Sprinkle and Mindy Campbell, and the song was recorded and by other people, and I got phone calls from the biggest. I don't have any hits. I've never
Yet.
written,
Yeah.
yet I've never written a song that's gone to radio from a big artist or anything, and um, which is fine. It's my path.
Yeah.
I write them every day. I feel like, and someday people are gonna hear them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for now, I'm just writing songs. Um, but that song, yeah, I got phone calls from a couple of the biggest artists in country music saying they wanted to record it, and it was recorded by one of them, and it never worked out for these people to actually record the songs, except for one of them, and for them to actually go to radio or anything. It just never worked out.
Yeah.
And I knew that song was special and it had a purpose, and then I met my wife and I was like, oh, like for me, you are the reason I wrote this song. So
Mm.
that song it's called You. It's on Spotify and all that kind of stuff. For anyone who hasn't heard it.
And you've
listening.
played it at probably 20 different weddings yourself, and then
I've played it at a ton of weddings for the first dance. It's been really special. It's probably been played at 50 other weddings that I don't know about
yeah.
or get tagged on, Instagram or whatever, and saying that, just saying that, showing that they dance to the song, and
Yeah.
it's so special to me,
Yeah.
to write a song that impacts people like that, and
Yeah.
that they feel love for each other, for the song, with the song, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Sennheiser microphones. When we first started this podcast, we were using some older microphones, and Sennheiser came in and sponsored us and gave us some MK4s and 914s. And I mean, I'm telling you, it's made all of the difference in the world. We love these microphones. We use them at the listening room as well. And I just can't say enough great things about them. Go check out Sennheiser.com. If you are into music in any way, their microphones are hands down the best on the planet. Go check them out, Sennheiser.com. And thank you, Sennheiser, for the support and the sponsorship. We love y'all. So that's a couple stories behind some great songs. You had some songs like that, like You, and some things like that. It Can Wait. Dirt Poor Rich.
Yeah.
You put 3 songs out, and then you kind of took a step back. And I think this was like, I know it was hard for you, but I also think it was really smart because you wanted to focus on building everything around your brand and who you are and you as an artist versus AJ the songwriter, right?
Yeah.
And I know you, like we mentioned earlier, going into the studio. Well, we're in a studio, but you're going to be recording vocals later today,
Yeah.
and you've got a project that you've been working on behind the scenes, building the team, and all of that. And I know you've got some great things coming up. We talked a little bit before we started today, and I know you don't have a specific date yet, but you can slap me if I'm not supposed to say this, but like I think it's within the next couple months or so that you're gonna start putting some stuff out, and then
Yeah.
and then and I want to talk about that too, because I think it's cool that you've got some that are like full band, radio ready songs, and
Hmm.
then you wanted to like just kind of give some of these songs that you've played in writers rounds that's just you and a guitar, and you're doing a little bit more than that,
Yeah.
but you're just kind of like almost like the demo sessions where it's like a kind of an acoustic kind of feel, which is really, really cool.
Yeah. That's what we're doing right now. It's they sound amazing where they're at, and Eric, who's producing has the same vision of we're gonna keep them a little bit stripped down and uh just a just more stripped down, but he says everything's gonna be done with a purpose. So it's gonna be kind of like Sam Hunt's mixtape stuff,
Yeah,
if you know that, like
exactly.
it's all
Yeah.
done with a purpose, but it's kind of stripped down. But everything's there that you need still. So that's kind of where we're at with this. And also, I'm every single day people ask me for the 3 songs that we're recording, and I don't have them recorded anywhere.
Yeah.
I just have work tapes done on my phone. And so that's kind of the main reason I chose these 3. And then from there we're gonna probably get a little more picky about stylistically. Right, but right now there's a kind of a honky tonk song. There's Hearts Don't Really Break.
Yep.
Then there is Mad Love that I just played,
Yeah.
which is one of my favorite songs. So they're gonna sound great, but these are the ones that people keep asking for.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be like, here you go. You asked for them.
Yeah.
Like, got them. So yeah.
So we'll have music coming out in a couple months, and yeah, I think that's just going to start that consistency of like just bringing new music to the fans,
Mhm.
and uh, I think what's important for everybody listening out there too to know is like, don't just go listen to these songs on Spotify. Make sure to hit that follow button. Apple Music, follow. Go to iTunes if you like the song and actually buy it. Uh,
Yeah.
and all that thing. I think it's just been so fun to kind of sit back and watch from the sidelines for over 10 years and just be such a fan. And
Yeah.
now see it finally happening. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And also like socials, talk about like how everybody can follow you and build all that up.
Uh, I mean, go follow me. It's like,
Just do it.
yeah, pretty much like AJ Kross, Cross with a K. Just go, find me on TikTok is huge right now. Instagram, Spotify is the most important. Like if you have Spotify, like for people to go to Spotify and hit the follow on there, the subscribe, right?
Yep.
Because that's what record labels and these clubs that I am trying to play at all of them around the country. That's what they look at, is how many people are listening to your music on a monthly basis.
Yeah, I've had this conversation with so many of my guests on this podcast. That's like we talked a little earlier about how you kind of got to you need all these people in the industry to get behind you at the same time, right?
Yeah, it's
And
true.
it's it is a bit frustrating that like when Tim was talking to you about you top 2% vocalist in Nashville, which I believe, and I'd go even further than that and say like I'd put you in the top 5 people. I mean, just the
Jeez.
things that you can do with your vocals. I mean, I hear hundreds and hundreds of people sing every single year from the
Yeah.
listening room,
Yeah.
and it takes a lot to turn my head. We had you as one of the Unsigned Artists of the Month back in 2022, and that was wise because like, I mean, it just I could go down a huge rabbit hole with this. I just like you're so far better as a vocalist, a songwriter, and a guitar player than so many people out on radio right now that it's just like I want to just beat the door down to industry people and go like, get out of the data and go back to where it started and listen to the music.
Jeez.
But to your point, like it is important for everybody listening out there. Like, unfortunately, although obviously they're still listening to the music and the vocals and the talent and all that, like it matters, but it doesn't matter like it used to. And you're like the people that are booking you for clubs or a label or a publisher or whatever it might be, you know, they're going to look at like these list of 2-3 artists and go, okay, who's got the most followers on Instagram and TikTok and Spotify?
Yep. It's just
And, you know, and it's like
literally
they
all
look
it
at
is.
that before they even listen to anything. So it's like you have taken a couple years off to focus on the right songs and your brand. So, you know, by doing that, you've lost a lot of followers on Spotify and things like that because you're not out there. So that's the frustrating thing is like you have this artist that is on like doing like I'm cooking burgers on my grill. You know, it's not even music related.
Yeah.
And I'm going down a tangent. I get really fired up about this, as you know. But it just like
We all do, man. We all do.
yeah, I wish, you know, like I sat down with my buddy Rob Williford, that was Luke Combs' guitar player for a long time, and he's written like 8 songs for Luke and like Cameron Marlowe and like I mean, just he's such a great dude and great songwriter and awesome guy. But we were talking about this and like the metadata and like all that. And it's like it matters so much.
Yeah.
It shouldn't, but it does. And that's why I think like again, I'll wrap this up in a little cute little bow. But if everybody would like do those things and hit follow and subscribe and all of that and share it with everybody else because they're a fan of AJ Kross, because they love the music and they're the ones that are they're the consumer. They're the ones that are listening and going, wow. They're the ones that hopefully are listening to this podcast going, I had no idea who this guy was, but these 3 songs that I've heard about and the little that I've heard about your background, they're like, okay, they're new fans. Go do all these things because then the data is going to like rise. And then when the industry people actually hear you, they're going to go, wow, like this is the next huge thing. So I will stop, but yeah, it just gets me so fired up.
It's I mean from what I see, and it's if you talk to anybody and there's a different outlook on it basically is the thing, but from what I see, it's a very like carrot in front of a horse thing, you know. If somebody starts getting a following on social media, all of a sudden the carrot's there for record labels and stuff, and they start following them, and then you know, and it's that's what it seems like.
Yeah.
I can't figure out a way for me personally to break down the doors of labels and just be like, hey, like I want to work with you.
Well, and
You know?
especially like knowing who you are, like you grew up in, you know, in the woods. You love to make knives. You love to go to the park with your dog. You love to work on your truck. You love shooting guns. You're a country boy. You love flannel, you know, like sitting down with your guitar and playing music. You're not a guy that walks around with your phone and is on TikTok all day long.
No.
And you know, it used to be where a record label would see talent and go, okay, we've got a whole A&R team and a radio team and all of this, and they would build it. And now they still have those teams, and I love labels. I'm not bashing on labels because people can do it both ways. They can do it independently and they can do it with a label. So either way is fine.
Yeah.
But the point is that like it seems to me like those people that don't have that talent, they're growing all of this stuff because they live on their phone. And then yeah, it's that carrot. And
Somebody a long time ago told me like music is not about talent, it's about marketing. And how do you get music to the world? You market it. So if you're talented and good at marketing, then you're gonna win, obviously. But if you don't, I don't know. I'm not a marketing guy.
Yeah.
I don't know how to market. I don't know how to sing. I know how to forge knives, you know, I know how to do all that stuff, but I don't know how to marketing to me is a billboard on the side of the road. That's about as far as I know
Yeah.
with that. That's
And there's plenty of people out there that are really good at all of that, the social media and stuff, and they have great talent.
yeah.
And yeah, those people are gonna win. But yeah, I diverse, but I think the point is, um, it's all important. But if it's a guy like you that doesn't live on social media,
Yeah.
number one, going back to the main point, is it's so important for everybody listening to help share your music and follow and subscribe and all of that stuff, but also just to build a team that, which I know you're doing, and you're bringing people in, to do that for you and to help you.
Yeah.
And, so yeah, I'm excited to watch, these songs
It's
start to come out and see what happens.
yeah, me too, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been a process learning me and how I do this business.
Yeah.
For a long time I've been in the studio singing demo vocals. It's what I've done for a living other than shows and stuff. That's what I've done for quite a while now. And for the first when I quit the road with Tracy Lawrence, this has been this has been 6 years or so now, I think. Jeez, time freaking flies, huh?
Yeah.
Um I just blasted everybody, email, text, Facebook, whatever, and said, "Hey, I'm available for vocals." And it's been full time ever since then. But
Yeah.
when I first started doing that, people would hire me for like, say, 2 songs. And the first one they'd be like, "Hey, we want you to sing this like Justin Bieber." And the next one right after that, they'd be like, "Okay, this is like a George Strait vibe." Okay. And then I would go to the next studio down the street and they'd be like, "Okay, we want you to sound like Dolly Parton in this one." You know?
Yeah.
Just like over here, over there, blah blah blah. And I completely lost sight of like how I sing.
Yeah.
Like, how do I do this? Like, what kind of songs do I write? Because I hear all these different songs every day. Even to this day,
Yeah.
it still gets into my head. And then they want me to sing them in all these different ways, Backstreet Boys, whatever, you know. And I I fell into that because I was trying to make a living doing it, and I was trying to make the best impression and do the best job that I could with it. And I had a session one day that one song, it took 6 hours. And granted, I was still learning. I was still learning how to be a proper session vocalist. And finally, 6 hours later, I was like on the mic, I was like, "Guys, I I think you have everything you need. I need to go get some food because I'm freaking falling apart here." And that was the last one that I was like gonna now to put it in a nutshell, now they hire me for how I sing,
Yeah.
and it's been such a refreshing way to do it
Yeah.
because it's brought me back to who I am. You know, I can sing all their songs. I can sing their Dolly Parton Town song, but I sing it like AJ.
Yeah.
And it's really put me back into perspective of like who I am,
Yeah.
you know? And I've worked with producers over the years and stuff, and they look me right in the eye and they say, "You need to figure out who you are." First off, don't ever say that to somebody because that's just gonna like, okay, let me just dig my own hole here, get in it, and then you can bury
Go back
me.
to that
Cool?
septic tank.
Yeah, exactly. It's like why would you even say that to somebody?
Yeah.
Like help them,
Yeah.
you know? Um, I went off on a tangent there. What were we even talking
Yeah, I know
about?
both of us. We're just going down this route.
It was just
Well, yeah, I think it's all good points, and you've figured out through that who you are,
yes,
and
that's
now
what, yeah.
like you're a great artist. You're building a brand. You have figured that out, and now you're gonna put songs out, and everybody needs to go
It's
follow it.
yeah, like I have worked on this for a while now, trying to find out exactly who I am because of all the people that said, "You need to figure out who you are." I guess it does work, but that's not the right way to do it. Like,
Yeah,
but and now and now the pieces have fallen into place, and it's really exciting actually. Like
Yeah.
it's really cool because now I'm like, okay, we can move forward finally, rather than just being like, okay, we're trying to figure this out. Like, who am I?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
whatever. What do I wear? I wear boots. It's
Yep.
about all I know.
Yeah.
My hair goes to the sky, and that's just where it stays.
Yeah.
You know, it's either this or a hat.
Yeah.
So,
I love it. I think you don't change a thing. You figured it all out, and now it's time to put music out and let everybody else know who you are.
yeah.
So
As I talked to Eric, the producer, my producer, and he was at the Taylor Swift concert the other night, and he said for 3 hours he felt like just a little kid. He was so happy. He said, dude, let's do that. Let's
Yep.
put some of that into this music we're making. He said 100%.
absolutely,
So,
man, I
Eric-
cannot wait.
Eric is a genius, and
Yeah.
it's gonna be really cool.
It's gonna be a blast.
Yeah.
All right, as we wrap up, I always like to end just asking you, and you've worked so hard and you've talked about so much today. So first of all, thank you so much for taking the time. I
Dude,
know,
yeah, thank
especially
you.
on a day that you're about to lay down vocals. Um, but knowing what you know now and going back to AJ touring in the van with your parents, like all that, like it's a little different, I think, for you because you've been in music literally your entire life.
Yeah.
But going through this school of hard knocks in Nashville, what advice would you give yourself if you were talking to 8-year-old AJ right now?
I always wonder that. People ask that all the time, and there's always an answer that there's always an answer that you have to give because they want to know right then on the spot. But like, there's so many different answers. But I really think because with music, we're trying to be genuine. We're trying to be original to ourselves, you know? But it's really hard to do when there's a formula, right? So learning the formula, but learning how to do it how you do it
Mm,
is like that's really important for music, you know? Like take like Eric Church, for example. Like he's like there's a lot of people right here in this group, and then he's over here, but he's still like, you know how the circles like
yeah,
intertwine?
right.
Like he's still touching it, you know what I mean? He's still in radio,
Mm,
but it sets him apart. And like figure out how to like rather be in that circle, how to touch the circle, how to connect to the circle, you know? Um but still be your own circle. Trendsetter.
it's a lot of circles.
That's a lot of circles. that's I feel like I'm going in circles all
No,
day
it's
sometimes.
that's awesome, man.
Man,
It's great advice. I mean, you're talking about like Eric Church, like what a marketing genius. Going back to marketing, and it's like,
yeah.
yeah, I think if I'm hearing you correctly, yeah, like what you would take away is like just to kind of what you were talking about, to figure out how to be yourself and be a part of that overall group of country music, right? But don't be a mold of what somebody wants you to be or what somebody else is already doing. Be yourself and figure out how to do it like that.
Circles.
Circles. Yeah.
Jeez.
That's going to be the name of this podcast. Is
That's
Circles.
funny. So many circles.
All right.
Like one time somebody told me, which actually was really good advice. He said, always answer your phone.
Mm,
Um, and it makes a lot of sense because like as singers and stuff, like there's as musicians and songwriters, there's a lot of highs, a lot of lows. There's a lot of like, great feelings, and there's a lot of like minor depression.
yeah.
And you gotta always answer your phone because like there's a lot of times for like people won't answer their phone, and they'll miss out on something that could have changed their life forever at one phone call.
Yeah.
But they didn't know. It looks like spam or whatever. But if it's like a 615 Nashville number, like you gotta answer it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But
That's great. Well, man, thank you so much. I can't wait to again watch all of this music and everything happen. But also like come back and do this again a year or so down the road and talk about like
Yeah.
where you are right now and then where you are then, because I know it's gonna happen, man.
Yeah, man. It's moving forward. I'm excited.
Yeah.
We're just trying to get bigger and better stages every day and, just write great songs with great people.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, man. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Chris.
This has been another episode of Stories Behind the Songs. Thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure you go follow AJ at AJ Kross, Cross with a K. Look him up on Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, all the places. And we'll continue to bring great artists like this. We appreciate the support so much, and we can't wait to see you next time. Thanks for listening. This has been an episode of Stories Behind the Songs with Chris Blair. For more information after the show, head over to chrisblair.com. That's where you can find information on these episodes, trailer notes, video links, all kinds of great stuff. Also, make sure to leave us a great rating on iTunes, like and follow us on Spotify, YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. I really hope that you think this show is awesome, and we really appreciate the love and support. I promise to keep gathering great content and continuing to sit down with more amazing songwriters and artists as we grow. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks for the support. We'll see you next time.